All right, we're here. It's Johnny Trabs here with Mateo.
Right on.
All right, it's our first podcast ever of all time.
Together.
Because
you had some rants, bro.
I did. So this is gonna be an interesting
episode
and crazy, yeah. And I had told you over the phone that what I wanted to do was just talk about memories and things about the 80s.
Right on.
Anything.
Perfect.
Everything and anything that had to do with the 80s.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, because that's where we grew up, right?
I was born in 78 in California, and I didn't move to Miami until 92. So my 80s were California.
So completely different than Miami.
But I did visit Miami because I had an older sister here. So when you talk about pirates, I've been to pirates.
Yeah, piratas, pirates.
Los piratas.
Los piratas.
Hey, how much Spanglish should we use?
As much as we want. Yeah, if it comes up, if it is, it's one of those things we just translate. Pirates, it was a place called Pirates. And I think this is because I think what it is now, it's a Honda dealership.
Yep.
On Coral Way, right?
Coral Way, yeah.
Yeah, so it was on Coral Way off of like...
We're across the street from Flagami Park.
60-something.
Yep.
Right? Like between 70-ish and it's way before 67th. So it was like...
Way before.
Where the new Wawa is.
Across the street from
Across the street from the new Wawa.
You know why I know? Because when I moved here, we lived on Coral Way and 62nd. And to drive to Columbus, we'd go down Coral Way, and I would see it. The building was still there.
That shit was still there, and it was
I think
condemned.
it even said Pirates.
It had to have been condemned. Because it was. That's what happened.
I was
right?
on.
It got condemned.
But what year was this? Because
then
like
I would the late 80s,
Then, bro, I had to have gone there like in 86 or 87. I used to come to Miami every year, bro. Because my sister was here.
Yeah.
And I remember, they were, freaking out. Let's go to the Pirates.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I only remember being there once. And it was just...
It was like an arcade. Little... Yeah, like a Chuck E. Cheese, but themed with pirates.
And you said there was a bounce? There was a ball pit?
So, no, yeah. So... Dude, I have, so my family gets pissed because I get, my memory from before, I don't know if this is happening to you, too.
Okay.
My memory from, before I was 10 is very...
Foggy.
Very foggy. I
only remember big moments.
Things... And then it's a lot of the other stuff is I remember because I see photo albums and pictures. And I'm like, I remember this because I saw a picture. Right?
I accused my little sister of the same shit because she sees the old photo albums. She was 5 and she's like, oh, you guys, we had the Nintendo set up here in the corner. I'm like, you only remember that because of the picture.
Yeah, because how do you remember when you were 5?
You would not have remembered that because we didn't have the Nintendo there the whole time.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no way that you remember being 3, 4, 5 years old. So I remember things from big moments like that. Because when you're a child, right? Parties and amusement parks and stuff like that. It's a big, fun thing, right?
Especially when you go to a place where you're excited about.
So I remember the Pirates, or I remember some of the other places that people used to do parties at. So... Pirates, okay? I remember it was just... And I know you've heard me talk about this. So
if your memory is foggy, my memory, I only went there once.
It's not like it was a big pirate ship outside or anything.
No,
it was just a building.
It was a beige
that said
building.
Pirates. Yeah. And then you went inside, and then, the inside... Because it was huge.
Yeah,
it was a warehouse. It was big,
it was
bro.
A big-ass warehouse.
When you went inside,
who knows, man? Maybe if we go back,
I'm like, this is really small. Maybe because since I was 4 or 5 years old, I'm like, this place is enormous.
It's huge.
No, you know why I think it was big? Because they used to have a little, it was a boat ride that you would take around.
Was it a mini golf course too or no?
No, that's another place.
Okay, yeah,
they didn't have. No, they did have mini.
I think they might have had something outside.
They did have mini golf. They did have mini golf because they had their mascot, which you know how Chuck E. Cheese has Chuck E. Cheese.
Who was the mascot? Captain Morgan?
No, the parents, the dads would have loved that. But no, their mascot was it was like a parrot. It was like a parrot costume, like a guy dressed like a parrot. That. And then they would do I guess like little stupid skits that they would show, like they would have like a screen. Okay, and they would show like little skits of the parrot.
Was it
doing
animated
stuff,
or was it animatronic?
No, it was just like a guy in a costume doing stuff. Like there was no voice. It was like, and like the reason why now I remember that there was a little mini golf was because he was playing in the mini golf.
Right.
And then everything is going wrong for him. You know, like, oh boy, he misses everything. You know, like shit like that. And they would play. They would play on. There was like a screen inside where you were like, where it was like the dining room area where like the party's sitting down to eat the pizza and the cake or whatever the fuck they served. Which I don't even remember if it was pizza or not. I'm just assuming because everybody served pizza.
Had pizza.
But Pirates had a little mini. It was like a little mini boat thing that it would tour you around. It was like a little mini boat thing that you would ride on the boat. And then they had like the general shit. Like they had like the ball pit. They had video game, like an arcade stuff. Like, you know, like the... What was the ball thing? The Skeeball. And all that stuff. And then they had like
Chuck E. Cheese.
It was like a mini...
A little bit.
A mini Cuban shitty... Chuck E. Cheese called Pirates,
bro.
Because they were like, let's theme it as pirates, piratas.
Los piratas.
Bro, but here's the thing. So there's two things that I will never forget from this place. 2 video games.
Okay.
Let's see if you remember these.
All right.
The first one that I ever saw there was Tron.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the Tron video game? Like
I think that you could still play Tron.
It was but it was just like a ball because you were doing like the speedster thing.
Right. That was
so you would have to like roll the ball, bro. That game, and I mean, I'm 4 or 5 years old playing this shit. I'm just rolling the fucking stupid ball like wherever it goes. The other one was a game called what the fuck it was about a guy that he was like I think it was called Dragon Slayer.
Yeah, that's it.
But the video game was made by I think it was made or it was a guy and then it was like way advanced at the time. It was like it would show like a video, like a cartoon, and then you would play the game and then it would pause and then show like you like fighting and then the dragon was very cartoon-like and you were trying to save like a girl that she was like a damsel.
It was like a real animation.
Dude, it was fucking like way advanced. Do you remember this shit? Video game, bro. Trust me. Look, it's here. Original. Dragon's Lair.
There it is.
Bro, 1984. Look at that shit.
Yeah, it was a Disney cartoon. I remember it.
It wasn't a cartoon yet. I think it was a video game first, and then they bought the rights to this shit.
It might have been.
And then they started producing.
To do the Black Cauldron or something.
No, the Black Cauldron was like a little boy and all this stuff, which I used to love that movie in the 80s. Yeah. It was actually fucking scary.
You were the only kid, bro.
That shit was scary as fuck.
That was known for years in the animation as like the fall of Disney.
I loved it. I loved the Black Cauldron.
Before that, I think was like Fox and the Hound and shit.
Yeah, they had like all the little lovely like cute shit
it was after
that would
Walt
make kids
died,
cry.
And then they continued making shitty movies, but then they didn't.
Bro, the Black Cauldron is awesome.
I know. Now, if you look at it, you're like, whoa, shit, this was. But back then, they didn't think it was appropriate.
So Dragon Slayer, look how badass this is, bro.
Yeah. No, it's
now look up now, the chick, the girl that you have to save, like she has like huge boobs, like she looks like a Jessica Rabbit before Jessica Rabbit.
Girl.
And it's like what? Or because they give you tokens like how you go to like Chuck E. Cheese that they give you like
chick.
Yes, bro. Look at that.
Blonde. You know who she looks like? The chick from like Hercules, bro.
Or like Cameron Diaz, animated. What was that movie? Remember that animated movie, Cool World? Yes. You remember Cool World?
I used to draw that all the time.
You remember Cool World?
I think I was like in 8th grade or something.
She looks like the girl from Cool World. Now imagine you're 4, 5 years old. You're saving this.
That's what you want.
This hot porno chick.
Look at this. People are even like drawing her now because they're still.
So these are the two like main things, video games, that I remember from this. I remember doing the boat ride. And I remember they give you like tokens because they would give each kid like a bunch of tokens, and then you would play. And it's like, I'm 4 or 5 years old. I don't know how to play. I'm just throwing shit in there, and I'm like, and I'm just pressing buttons. But I remember this game.
Asking your parents for more tokens, they were like, yeah.
They were like, why do you want more tokens? ¿Por qué? Why do you want more? Ya te dieron. How many more? Coño. How much is this costing me? ¿Cuántos tokens son? And they're like, $1 for 50. And then my dad's like, coño, I have to give you $1 for 50 tokens. Back then, it was like, it wasn't like each thing cost a quarter.
Right.
Back then, it was like, $1 was probably like 20 tokens or whatever.
Okay, that was Pirates.
That was Pirates, and then in Pirates, they also had like the ball pits. And all that stuff. The ball pits.
So I thought that was the other guy.
No, that was in Pirates. That's where the whole ball pit thing started.
It sounded like you were traumatized by that, Johnny.
Because,
it's like an urban legend.
I think it is.
But there's some truth to it?
I think they're kind of... Because where did it start? Maybe one incident, but back then there was no social media, so you didn't get statistics or shit like that. So they're like, all you needed was one. You might have
gotten like one news story somebody saw.
All you needed was one, like in a McDonald's ball pit, because McDonald's used to have the little play area.
Yeah.
And they were like, what happened was that the ball pit was forbidden because I remember my parents telling me, don't go in the ball pit because there's diapers,
which is the most plausible one to me.
Okay, yeah, and there's needles.
Now that one,
either needles meant syringes or just like a sewing needle.
No,
like a grandma was like,
let's say what you said on the original rant, bro. An AIDS needle.
Well, that's because it was the 80s. So then that was the thing. Everybody was scared because they said needles. And then they're like, oh shit. People were throwing fucking dirty syringes in the ball pits. And so children will play in there and get stuck like on their foot or their thigh. Right? And then, remember, this is the 80s.
Right.
I'm not being like fucking like
but
exaggerated.
There was also, in the 80s, there was also like... trick-or-treating, people put razor blades in candies and shit.
Yeah, well, that's a whole...
But that's around the same time,
It was the same time. Where they were
don't eat an apple.
No, they were like...
Don't take any fruit from trick-or-treaters because there's some psycho for the fuck of it was putting razor blades.
Let me look at that now or later because there might be a nail inside of that now or later.
Do you remember? They used to check your candy.
My parents would be like, wait. And then I would put one in my mouth, and they're like, "Spit it out!" But wait. Let's not. We're going off. Let's go back to the ball pit. The ball pit, was needles and dirty diapers. Yes. Because so let's start with the diapers.
You're not the only one.
Let's start with the diapers. Okay. It kind of makes sense. Let's say a kid, 2, 3 years old, se cagó, or like it's too heavy. You've been around little babies.
Yes.
I have kids. When the diaper is heavy, sometimes if you yank them out,
and they don't have tape anymore though, those little
the little tape comes off, and this is the 80s, so it's even 80s. Fucking worse. Yeah. The fucking adhesive.
The diapers was
who knows? Or maybe if they were fucking Cuban, that shit was made out of cloth. I don't know.
With a freaking
with the little the pin, a safety pin.
Maybe that was the needle.
And they were like, oh no, there's dirty diapers in there. So if you go there, there's going to be caca. Johnny, you can't go in there because you're going to get caca. And then I'll be like, oh my God. And then, even worse than caca, right? Because when you're a little kid, What's worse than caca is getting pinched by the doctor with a syringe, like a vaccination or a shot, right? Yeah. So then they were like, oh no, I heard on the news that there's needles in there.
And this could have been complete bullshit.
And then
for all we know.
Or one...
No way. What are we going to do? Google and double check it?
Or one place in fucking California or Seattle or fucking Oklahoma
one instance
had one case that was national news. Because remember, in the 80s, there was like 4 channels. It was ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox. And fucking Fox wasn't really a thing. No, I think Fox started like in the 90s.
ABC, CBS, NBC. There was public
Fox
access.
Started later, so then it was like, or like PBS and all that shit. So then they were like, no, we heard that there's fucking needles in there too. So then now it's like you don't like to get pinched, right? You know when the doctor pinches you?
Yeah.
You can't, cause then after a while you're like a kid and you're like, I don't care about caca.
Yeah.
I do caca. My sister does caca. Everybody does caca.
And
so who cares about caca? I want to jump in
risk.
I want to jump in the ball pit where all these other kids are jumping that their parents don't give a fuck, right? I'm seeing them enjoy themselves in the ball pit, and I'm like, Mom, I want to go in the ball pit. And it was more like younger sounding.
We're talking early memories here.
It was like 85, 84,
so
and it's like,
you
Mama,
were like 6 or 7 or...
I want to be in the ball pit. Yo quiero in the ball pit. And it's like, oh no, you can't. And then it's like, the caca shit doesn't work. And it's like...
So you think they perpetuated the myth?
The fucking needle shit. And then the needle thing was later because I asked my parents later in life, I'm like, why were you guys so scared of the fucking ball pits? And they were like, oh no, because we saw a news thing that there was needles and syringes. People were throwing them in the ball pit. It came out in the news. And then we were scared because people were doing crack and heroin and fucking doing all this shit and sharing needles.
Right.
And then, the needles that they were sharing in the early 80s, people were getting AIDS. So then they were like, and it's like now that we're older, that we're fucking reasonable, you're thinking, why would any of these people be like,
why would they even be there?
Hey man, you know where to dispose these fucking needles?
Yeah, man, the fucking children's place.
Yeah. I just got fucking AIDS. Let's throw it in a fucking ball pit with kids to get fucking more AIDS out there. Get the fuck out of here. Of course it's fucking
or like you said, like, what kind of psychopath?
Nobody did that. It might have been one time by mistake. One time some fucking homeless man went like this and he fucking just threw it. He wasn't even looking.
Or some druggies got invited to a birthday party.
They shot up in the bathroom of a fucking McDonald's bathroom. And then they're like, where do we shoot this shit? Where do we throw it away? You know where nobody will find this shit? In the ball pit. And they threw it there.
And
here's the thing.
Even to this day, how do you think they disinfect that ball pit?
And here's the thing.
Because there's still ball pits out there.
Okay, here's the thing. And I think we spoke about this. Why weren't they cleaning this every night?
I think...
And being like, hey, empty out the ball pit, right?
Too much work.
What's under there? A shoe, a calzoncillo, an underwear, a dirty diaper,
I bet the best
coins,
they do
money.
Is spray
shit, money.
With some disinfectant.
Because
I bet you that's what they do.
Let's be honest. The people that were working there were probably teenagers or college kids
who didn't want to be.
And
there.
It's like, why don't you fucking empty that out and see if there's fucking? I would be like, bro, here's a fucking $1, some fucking coins that some kids.
I wouldn't
empty that shit out. You clean it out, you disinfect it, you disinfect all the balls, you clean it out. Oh shit, there's a syringe. Now the next group of fucking party kids.
I say best case scenario, maybe there was a team, like the maintenance people for video games, like that they like maybe there's like the pool guy.
They come every once a month.
Every now and again. But I think honestly, to this day, how they probably just spray it with some disinfectant
on top.
And leave it there, and then like, pa carajo,
which if you think
about
it,
let the kids die.
Here's the thing, I know you have nieces and nephews. I have kids. If you think about it, when was the last time you saw a ball pit? They took that shit away. They took that shit away. They stopped that shit. Because it was too disgusting to fucking...
It's not... It wasn't a dedicated ball pit, but I think in that place in Kendall called Urban Air, where there's the trampolines...
Yeah, the trampoline shit,
like
which I have a whole other fucking thing with that shit.
There's like a thing where like kids have to go through an obstacle course, but if they fall, I think they fall into the balls.
No, it's not a ball pit. It's a foam pit. They have foam, which is like the dunking thing. They have the thing that you bounce and then you dunk and then you fall into the foam pit. It's like foam.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
Because adults do the dunking. Shit. There's people like our age that they'll do like the dunking shit and they fall.
I'm sure Chuck E. Cheese still has ball pits.
No, they don't. I swear, bro. My kids did fucking...
Now we have to find one.
Now we're going to need to find one. And we should ask them, after hours, can we clean your ball pit for you? And do the investigation and be like, let's see what we find. And do like a TikTok. Fucking empty the shit out. And be like, oh, look, $1.
A Rolex or something.
Yeah, a Rolex, a fucking Cheeto, or, some coins, a syringe that has AIDS in the tip. Like,
let me tell you something, though. Speaking of McDonald's and BK's, this might have been even early 90s, not even 80s. But when they started, like the one right here, they made that McDonald's bigger just to put... kid slides and shit like that.
Yeah, you remember.
That was a big investment in the fast food community.
They did a 2-story McDonald's here.
The one on Coral Way in 87.
No,
Burger
the one
King
right here too.
And
then, so I went to birthday parties there, and then I would watch my kids and be like, there's certain areas, because my kids were little.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's certain places here in this playground that you cannot. They're like, they're fucking 3, and they're like, what? And I'm like, I have to now stand here with a Diet Coke and watch you playing in this area. Because it's like...
now...
But they took away all the ball pits. Ball pits. There's no ball pits. I can't even remember...
Think about why fast food companies would invest so much
money. It's enticing for the kids.
They thought... kids were gonna come and we're gonna make more money,
right? The Happy Meal.
Right.
Happy Meal.
But now it's all...
And then the Happy Meal comes, and then you go to the McDonald's, you get the Happy Meal, and then they're like, I want to play in the playground. Look at all the kids playing in the playground. So then, instead of going through the drive-thru, you pull over, and then you have to eat inside. Then you get something to eat. Bro. No, they don't do that.
It's like a dead business.
They took all the playgrounds.
When's the last time anybody even sat down in a McDonald's?
No, I think all the fast food places, they've taken all the playgrounds away because it doesn't make sense anymore.
What playground is that? I mean, maybe back then it was a good investment, but today kids don't want to do that shit. They want to be on their fucking phones.
80s and early 90s and even 70s and even before, because all that shit started like in the 60s, was smart investment. Because, dude, do you remember how scary? Do you remember how scary?
Real estate.
Do you remember how scary in the 80s the McDonald's people were? Like the McDonald's characters?
Yeah.
Like Grimace. Ronald McDonald, but then you had Grimace, which is like a
big purple thing.
A purple thing. Like, what the fuck is that? That's like the shit that you pick up from the bottom, like the grease.
Grimace.
Like what is he?
Grimace?
He's like a
is
purple...
he like a McNugget or something?
No, he's a purple glob. And then you like what is that? It's like he's the sewage.
You get.
He's the sewage. He's the tumor
that you get after you eat McDonald's for your
kidney from fucking eating. There was the Hamburglar.
Okay, and in California, and there's a picture of this on the internet. I'm not sure if it was the McDonald's that I used to go to, but there was a thing that kids, it was like a big tube, and you would climb up, and it was a hamburger with bars.
It was a jail.
It was a jail.
It was a jail, because that's
my McDonald's had one of those.
The jail where the fucking Hamburglar would get caught. Yeah. Yes, bro.
Bro,
yeah.
That was crazy because you would never make that today. You'd be like, hey, you know what? We got a great children's idea for a theme.
Yeah,
thing.
let's
make a jail
in
the shape of a hamburger.
Yeah, it was the.
Let's get these kids used to fucking
the what is it? The bun on the top.
Yep.
the jail fucking bars, and then the freaking the bun in the bottom, and you would climb in there and be like, "Hey, look at me, I'm inside." And it's like, yeah, that's your future. That's your fucking future. I feel like a
psycho Googling this hamburger jail McDonald's.
Look at it. There it is. There it is. And look, on the top, there's a no.
Yeah.
The guy is literally a cop. He's a hamburger cop.
I swear to God, this is my childhood. Right
yeah, he's a hamburger cop. With like a big nose, like Pinocchio.
This might have been the one by my house. I don't know.
Oh my God, bro. That's amazing.
Look at this. This is an old one somebody threw away.
How badass if you fucking picked that up and you put that in your kid's backyard.
Yeah, and look, they had to make the bars because, like, what if there was an emergency? Like,
yeah, like, how do you take your kid?
How do you fucking... Your kid gets stuck in there. He doesn't want to leave. You gotta grab him. Yeah.
Yeah, like, how do I get out of here?
That one's in pretty good condition.
How do I get out of here? Do you remember the Fry Kids?
Yes. They were
that they looked like...
They were like little puppets, no?
That they had like, you know, like I don't know,
they looked like pom-poms.
Like Shaggy,
no?
yeah, like pom-poms, because it was the fries. But shit, all of this was scary as fuck. And, I mean, the Hamburglar was scary.
Why did we love
He was like a thief. He had like the mask. With the jail like costume.
Why did we love it so much?
Because it was
California,
McDonald's.
My Cuban parents, didn't take their kids to McDonald's as often as we do today. So like going to McDonald's was a huge deal for me, bro.
It was like maybe once a month. Maybe even more.
And you know what? It probably made me like eat McDonald's later in life, like when I had autonomy and freedom.
Because you were like, I want McDonald's now. Why did my parents not?
Bro?
Because, so here's the thing. My mom, because we like the nuggets so much, my mom would be like, oh, mira lo que te hice. And she would make her own. Look what I made you.
Not the same.
She would make homemade nuggets. But it was like pieces of like a chicken fillet, you know, like small.
What would she do? Like tenderize it, or
she would just get like pieces of the chicken, and then she would like cut them up really little, like small, like a tater tot, like this, like, and then she would like batter it and fry it.
Okay, so she would make like a little croqueta almost.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't like ground up.
Okay.
But she would just get like the pieces of the chicken and be like, "Oh look, I made you," and we would eat it and we're like, "Wow." But because we got so obsessed with McDonald's, because it was like, I want McDonald's, and it's like, no. In the 80s, nobody went.
I used to beg.
Just like pizza.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah, with the roof.
When you would go in the 80s to Pizza Hut.
That was like after baseball practice.
That was like a fucking prize. The only times that I would go to, in the 80s or 90s, when I would go to Pizza Hut, like with the
red roof.
With the red roof.
It's still their logo.
That they had those red
cups. The 107 still has the red roof.
Remember the red cups? Those red cups that they would pour the soda. Everything was so delicious. Good? It was I'm obsessed with that shit.
The red cups with the like little
it was like for me, it was like a birthday thing. Like cuz when I got older, what my parents would do, instead of doing like big birthday parties, they were like, you're going to invite 3 of your best friends from school and your 2 cousins or 2 or 3 best cousins.
A cousin in there.
So it was like 5 kids and you. And here's what we're going to do for your 10th birthday or like 9th birthday.
Okay.
We're going to go to the movies and you're going to pick out the movie.
All the Americans.
So whatever the coolest fucking movie was at the time.
Right.
And then after the movies, we're going to go to Pizza Hut. And then after pizza, we're going to go to the house and we're going to cut a cake. And it was like, damn, I get to pick my 3 friends, my cousins, and we're going to, like, this is like a special little thing.
And I think the pizza was better back then.
I think that shit was, bro, the pan pizza back then.
It was better.
Was amazing. With their little, like,
I remember it being, like, thick and soft.
Thick and soft, and their crust had, like, this little, like
crusty thing,
like a little sauce, like a little thing that was cooked into the. You remember, bro? So my parents bought their first house when they were like
in their 20s,
1920.
That's
21
crazy.
maybe.
And what year would you think that was?
And
when did they come from Cuba, first of all?
My parents got here when they were like 2 and 3 years old. Oh, so my parents were super Americanized.
Oh, okay.
My dad looked like a white hippie when he went to Southwest High School in the 70s. My mom was
14 and my dad was like 20.
Bro, my dad had dirty blonde hair, long as fuck, with like hazel to the point, hazel eyes that they look like the Incredible Hulk, that like they change colors and shit. And my mom looked like...
So they got here...
Yeah, they were...
Right when Castro or before Castro?
Yeah, right when everything happened, they dipped.
Yeah, okay.
My
dad...
They're
younger than my parents. So
my dad's family went to Jamaica first for like a few years. And then they came to the U.S. My mom came with her grandparents, my great-grandparents, to the U.S. My grandmother got arrested.
In Cuba?
In Cuba.
Is that Pedro Pan?
No, this was before. Pedro Pan was in the...
That's
in
when
the,
my mom...
In the early...
My grandma sent them over.
Yeah. So, my mom got here. She was living with her grandparents, which is my great-grandparents. And then when my grandmother got here, they moved to New York. And she was in New York for a long time until she was 10. Then they moved back to Miami. And then she grew up here in Miami.
I always thought that was interesting that Cubans went to different places. Because, like,
they went...
I was born in California. It's like, I was like...
There's a huge community in Cali of Cubans.
I know, but I told my mom and dad, I was like, how the hell did you guys go to California? Like, you obviously came to Miami first. But they went to California. Some of them went to New Jersey.
Wait, now...
A lot of Cubans went to New Jersey. And New Jersey has a lot of Cubans,
Your parents met here and then went? Or they met in Cali?
Met in Cali, bro.
You see? Two Cuban people met in Cali. There's a whole community of Cubans in California.
I still have cousins there.
When I used to go to California, I used to hang out with...
that don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, they don't know like how we know.
Like, you know, my mom's brother like didn't raise them to speak Spanish. Maybe like when they were little, but...
No, yeah, they don't...
Which is weird, right?
Yeah, well.
But
so okay, going back.
Okay, what are we
talking
about?
Yeah, my parents bought the house, and then they had me and my sister, and they were like one of the first in their family that had like an actual house. And then when cable started, they got cable. And then cable was like...
I remember the day.
Cable was...
That was what memory I have.
Wild West.
No.
My parents
were
were so
for
young.
The white van. It was a white van.
My cousins that were older, they're like 10 years older than me, 12 years older than me, would come over and sleep over.
What year did you get cable, bro?
Probably like 84.
Yeah.
85.
Yeah. Because
my cousins would come over and sleep over because they wanted to watch cable, and they would let them stay up. My sister was like one of those, like, you know, she would want to go to sleep right away.
How did we know what
Bro,
cable
I
was?
would sit in front of the TV. Everybody was on the couch eating popcorn and shit. And I'm sitting in front of the TV with like my little fucking cocha. I had like I was like Linus. You know, Linus had his little blankie.
His little blankie.
I had the blankie with like my thumb in my mouth, and they're watching the craziest shit. They're watching Nightmare on Elm Street. They're watching Friday the 13th. They're watching the movie Psycho. And I'm there like this, fucking watching that shit, and then having nightmares. And I'm like, no, the light has to be on for me to fall asleep.
Kids have no idea.
And my cousins would be like, hey, make sure you look at the vent in the ceiling, because Freddy Krueger might be looking at you through there. And I would be like, fuck. Like, I'm like 5, 6 years old, and I'm like looking like I had to sleep with the light on for years. Because I was like, I can't.
Dude, you're like my friend Mike.
And
he was scared of Freddy when he was a kid.
You remember in Psycho, the movie Psycho?
Yeah.
The movie Psycho, like, he has his dead mother and a rocking chair still, like, corroding, right?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, mother, hello, mother. Right? They'd be like, my cousins would be like...
black and white, bro.
Yeah, my cousins would be like, his mom is under your bed. So I would be like, I'm one of those guys that I'm like, I had to have the fucking covers wrapped around me like a fucking burrito.
You had dick.
Cause I was like, I don't want that fucking vieja to touch my leg or some shit. Like, I swear to God, I slept with my light on until maybe I was like 7, 8 years old. Bro, because so think about it. I'm either looking at the vent in the ceiling, or
Freddy's
thinking
claws are coming through
or
there,
thinking
right?
like some fucking old corroding lady is gonna grab my foot from the back. I saw tits. I saw tits for the first time when I was 5 or 6.
Oh, I think the first time I saw tits in a movie on TV was probably Airplane. Remember in that scene in Airplane when they're all freaking out? And then all of a sudden, some chick just goes...
Yeah.
I thought that was the greatest thing.
My first tits was in the movie that it was Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. It's called Trading Places. Yeah. That it's
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. That she's a hooker.
She was hot in that movie.
That she's a hooker, and she fucking takes off her shit, and she has these fucking tetas, casual as fuck. Like she's just changing.
Yeah,
and Dan Aykroyd, now he's the homeless guy with the hooker, and he's like, whoa, that was the first fucking pair of tits, and I'm like, fucking bro, what year did that movie come out? I see that shit on cable, and I'm like, oh, tits,
86.
Which is, I think, why now I love fucking tits. Like, I'm obsessed. I love tetas, bro.
Yep. And cable did it. Yeah, cable did it. 83, bro. But you were watching it on TV.
I was watching it on cable. Which my parents would be like, oh no! And then they would like reach and put their fucking hands in your eyes, you know? Yeah. Or Flashdance.
Yeah.
Remember Flashdance? The movie Flashdance? They were watching Flashdance with my uncle who was like in Southwest High School with his girlfriend, which he married. They were both there and they were watching Flashdance on fucking cable on HBO or Showtime, who knows? And the same shit. They would be like, oh no, sex scene.
What's funny is that I can't think of any movie now that I would be like that by accident you would show. I mean, my nephew's 10.
Because now, like for example,
like I guess we know what we're watching.
You know what's so funny is
and
that
there's ratings, like there's nudity.
I have always been so
we were
crazy
just like
with my kids. Man, my parents let me watch all this shit.
They didn't know any better.
Well, first of all, maybe that's why I'm fucking crazy. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that's why we're normal.
But I always try to like caution or restrict my kids from watching certain shit. And then now that they're older, I'm like kind of like cool with it. Like I'm like, oh, you know, like if they mention
what
shit,
age are you cool? What age?
I don't know. Well, first of all, like if it's a sex scene, like I'm not gonna watch that shit in front of my girls, bro.
You know what? Movies really don't have that much sex in them anymore, bro. If you think about it, like new movies, just like random sex scenes.
Bro, you remember back in the 80s? It was like almost porn. Like it was like
they were making out and shit. It was like gross.
Yeah, and you saw like a fucking teta. Like
there was no.
You almost saw like the guy's
there was
dick.
No purpose
like it was like
to a scene, but like showing the guy.
Out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere. We need a sex scene.
Well, okay. So let's keep going. Let's fast forward a little bit. My parents get a fucking VHS. Yeah. Remember the first time you got a fucking VHS?
My dad was on the
player,
ground floor of that shit. Bro.
They were like, bro, this is the new thing.
We had a VHS and a camera, bro.
They were like, this is the new thing. And then we were like, we need to find... This is before Blockbuster Video and all that shit. It was like all little, like independent. There was a place on Bird Road.
Where
the new Flanagan's is on Bird Road.
There was
in
a
that
video
corner.
Store.
It was called FX Videos.
Nice.
FX Videos. That's where we went.
And they would have.
And they were like, you pick a movie. They would tell my sister, you pick a movie, and then my parents would pick a movie. Before Blockbuster. They were like, everybody, we're gonna pick a movie. And then, you know, they had the little membership to FX Video and all that shit. And, bro, one of the movies that I rented was fucking RoboCop.
Oh my god.
But here's the thing. RoboCop is rated R. How the fuck did my parents be like, hey, this is a rated R movie?
And not only is
the
that,
first few scenes
recently.
In the beginning, it's the guy fucking snorting coke.
Doing coke.
Going like this.
No, like, and the blood. The scene in the office where the robot shoots up the fucking...
Bro, and it's like my parents, I saw the movie from beginning
Wait, is
to
there
end.
a scene where RoboCop shoots the dude in the leg and he's like, "You shot my dick" or something?
Bro, I don't even remember. I haven't seen that movie in seriously. I don't think I've seen that movie since
years ago, just to
Bro,
I wanted to show Austin.
I just remember.
Then I saw it. I'm like, bro, we're not.
I just remember now looking back and thinking, I'm like, bro, that guy's in his fucking office doing fucking coke lines, and then the fucking guy comes in.
It was the 80s, but that director, that's Paul something Verhoeven. That guy makes fucked up movies.
Bro, but think about you watching that in the 80s.
He made Starship Troopers,
and you're like
too.
8 or 9 whenever it came out.
He did Starship Troopers that came out in the 90s. When it came out when we were in high school. And remember there's a gratuitous scene in that movie too. It's where the fucking aliens come down and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was already in high school.
Yeah,
I didn't give a shit. I was
just
like,
a random
this
scene
is
where they're
awesome.
all showering, the boys and the girls in the
yeah,
fucking
and there's
room.
tits and fucking
There's
shit.
tits
Like you see
everywhere.
bush. It was like, oh, whatever.
But what I'm saying is, the remake of RoboCop you could probably show your kids.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, there's still violence and shit, but there's not gonna be a dude doing snorting.
Are you ready for the next one? Are you ready for the next one? Because I had a best friend in middle school or like in elementary. He was a friend of mine since I was in kindergarten. But this kid was obsessed with horror movies. Right. So he'd be like, he's like one of these guys that he would like make his own masks for Halloween and shit. Yeah. This was like later on.
Don't even tell me. What is it? Texas Chainsaw.
Bro, he goes, and I was still like in elementary. He's like, you need to rent the movie Hellraiser.
Oh no.
And I'm like, all right,
bro. I never watched.
Here's
that.
the thing: why aren't my
poster
parents?
Was scary, bro.
Why aren't my parents looking at the fucking box?
The guy with the
and seeing that it says rated R, right, bro? Because I remember as a kid. There's a scene where they're like having sex. They're like having sex, right? And then it switches because the guy is so out of his mind because of the Hellraiser box. He's having sex with the crazy lady, and then all of a sudden like it switches and he's like skinned alive, like he has no skin. Yeah. And he's fucking having sex with the lady.
It's perfect child entertainment.
And it's like, and I'm like, I'm fucking 9, 10 at this point. Like, why? How are they?
You know what?
Child's Play with Chuck E. I saw.
Oh, that traumatized my little
and I'm
sister.
like,
I see, but that was already where I was traumatizing my little brothers and sisters.
I
like,
watched
Chucky's
that,
gonna get you.
And it's like no adult here is. No, and here's the thing.
Chucky is still scary.
Bro,
kids are still scared as
I
Chucky,
tell my parents this, and they're like, no, eso no pasó. Yo no te dejé ver eso. And I'm like, how do I remember this? I didn't rent those movies for you. You're crazy.
You know what, John?
You know what it is? You don't remember.
I'm thankful that I had parents that just let it go. I don't think I needed to
be protected, It built my...
And it's not like it, like... We were like...
It built my,
character?
My character.
Yeah, like, at least you know that existed.
My creative
It's not like juices. I was focused on it, but I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Dude, okay, so we had cable, right? Cable back then used to play boxing matches, real ones, like Showtime.
Yeah, HBO.
My grandfather and my uncles would come over, and we would watch the old school Mike Tyson boxing matches. I saw all of that. In my living room or my uncle's living room.
Oh, that was my shit, dude.
We watched that. We watched the comedy shows.
But you were into boxing, right?
I loved it. I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it.
Try getting a 8-year-old into boxing today.
Well, unless he started like how we were, that I was just sitting there.
It was new, bro. To watch a boxing match in color on TV.
Well, here's the thing. My grandfather...
And then Mike Tyson, and then when... Fucking Punch-Out came out. Game over, bro.
Bro, so I guess since I was like a boy,
I was obsessed with
and
Mike
I was
Tyson
as a kid.
Bro.
I saw my dad, my grandfather, my uncles get excited. My uncle would invite his friends over, and it was like an event, right?
Cubans, really
and then
like
I'm there, and I was like, this has to be something really important. and we would watch fucking the best boxing matches.
Sugar Ray Leonard and shit.
On Showtime. It was all Showtime. Yeah. Showtime event boxing.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Cubans have a history. They love boxing, bro. And there are also badass Cuban boxers.
Amazing.
Come from Cuba.
Amazing.
Cuba.
My grandfather would sit in his living room, and I would come over in his house. I would come and watch, and he was watching, like the not title matches, but just like, the boxing matches. Yeah. That they were like, and he's like, mira, este es un cubano. Se está fajando contra el negro. And
they're both black.
Yeah, they're both black. And I go, and he'd be like, tú sabes que ahí dice black, y el otro dice blue. Because they would say, like, Marvin Hagler.
Yeah.
Black trunks, and it would be like black, and then the other guy would be like, whatever his name is, blue trunks, and he'd be like, mira, ahí dice black y el otro dice blue. ¿Cuál es black y cuál es blue?
That's right. They used to do.
You remember? Because it would be like, red.
That's how you separated
red,
back
or
then,
and then it would be like, oh, okay, whatever. Bro, he would watch all the amateur shit, and he'd be like, bang, siéntate aquí conmigo. And bro, he would get excited. Like, he would sit on the edge of the seat going like this. And he would start moving, like fidgeting. Like, if he was the one in the middle of the boxing match.
Yeah.
Like, moving his hands and shit. Like, bro,
yes.
Sam Kinison, it would be like, I remember, and this is, to be honest, one of the people that made me want to start doing comedy, other than the Cuban stuff, was... I remember being a kid and watching...
What, Rodney?
No, Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
Because he was so childish.
Yeah. And he did the voices.
And he would do the voices, and he would come out and be like, all right,
dude,
so...
Howie Mandel was a killer, dude.
Bro, he would do like 2 or 3 specials a year. And my parents would let me watch that shit. Gallagher. Remember Gallagher with the fucking hammer and all that shit?
And he would come on at the most random times.
And then they would have... Bro, the most random times.
You're like, oh my God, Gallagher! He's in the roller skates and shit.
Yeah, or he would drive... It was like a car that looked like a roller skate. Remember?
I tried to tell my nephew, Austin...
There's no way of explaining this.
That I had to wait to see shit. Like, I knew this existed.
Yeah.
But there was no way. Like, I knew Gallagher was a comedian.
Yeah.
And he did wacky shit. And I saw a piece of it. But
it was like...
I had no way of...
September 16th at 10 o'clock at night. And you're like,
no,
I have to wait.
When you turn on the TV and it's on, it's like, oh my God. Yep. I scored the lottery.
Yep. And you had to wait.
No, okay, in LA?
Do you remember the theme song back then of HBO? It was like well, no,
I think they have it on YouTube here.
That's the final countdown is what HBO I was doing.
Theme 80s. They did a whole special of how they made this. This is all a miniature. Hold on, this is the long
build up. They're going through like the cities. Yeah. Like these are all of you guys watching us.
Yeah,
we're like, going.
I'm there.
Yeah, that's me. That's my house.
That's my house.
We're going through the mountains. Let me see if this is the one.
It was almost like the Rocky theme,
bro. Because.
And then look at the letters.
Yeah. When this came out, you were like...
HBO's still killing it, bro.
You were like...
HBO Max?
This is something big right now. This is a special premiere event. Movie. This is a premiere boxing match.
It's everybody, quiet down.
You see, HBO feature presentation. Bro, you would have 25 people in your living room. The people that didn't have cable, your neighbors, they were like... Esta es la película que salió ahora de RoboCop.
Johnny, in the 80s when we first got cable. Okay, I had a Mexican friend across the street.
Wait, this is in LA.
In LA.
Okay.
Pasadena. I lived in Pasadena. And when we knew I had cable, so all my friends would come to my house, right? To watch cable. But when his dad ordered cable, it was a white van would show up and we knew the day. And I will never forget this kid. This is one of the earliest memories I have in the 80s. When he saw the white van pulling into his house across the street, he jumped up and he goes, this little Mexican kid, the Disney Channel, the Disney Channel.
Ay, pobrecito, bro.
That's what he wanted.
That's the best, bro. Do you remember the first cable boxes?
I just thought it was too good to be true.
Do you remember the first cable boxes?
Yes, bro. The little black ones?
No, before that.
Oh, the gray ones?
No, before that.
Maybe we didn't have.
So it was like this long thing, right? There was channels on it. I think there was like maybe like 15, and then they had like double numbers on it because it had like a little switch. So then if you wanted to go to like the other channels, you would.
Oh yeah.
And it was it looked like it was made out of wood. It was like brown with the bottom was black, and then you would switch.
That's an old ass cable box.
Bro, you would do the switch on it, and then you would go to like 22, 23, 24, and then you would have to click. Literally, there was no remote. You would have to click on this fucking shit, press the fucking thing, like click, like a fucking button.
Yeah.
Like a keyboard. You have to click on it, click, and then that's when the channel will come on, and you're like, whoa.
No one knows what we're talking about.
No, they hit unless they're our age or older,
and
they know the fucking cable box. Then the little black ones or the gray ones came out, and they had the little remote. That it was like a square remote.
Like this.
Yeah, with like numbers, and then you would press the numbers or whatever.